I never thought my life would sound like a true crime podcast. I never thought I'd be the person whispering into strangers' headphones about the nightmarish truth hiding inside the walls of my own home. But here I am. And if you take anything from this story, let it be this. Sometimes the person you trust the most can be the one you should fear the most. It all started 3 years ago. I was 23, freshly graduated and stupidly optimistic. That's when I met Mark. He was charming in that quiet, awkward way. Not the kind of man who dominates the room, but the kind who listens, who remembers the little details. My favorite coffee order. The way I always tuck my hair behind my ear when I'm nervous. It felt refreshing after a series of shallow, short-lived relationships. Mark seemed safe. And God, did I crave safe. First, he was almost too good. He'd text good morning every single day, bring me flowers just because, cook me dinner when I was too stressed to even boil pasta. My friends teased me about how quickly I was falling. It's like you've known him forever, they said. And honestly, it felt like that. But soon the little things started to feel strange. Like once I mentioned in passing that I missed a song from my childhood. The next day he sent me the MP3 file. Not a Spotify link, not a YouTube video, the actual file. I hadn't told him the artist or the title, just hummed a couple of lines. How the hell did he find it? Or when we went out for dinner and he ordered my meal before I could even open my mouth. The exact thing I was planning to order. It was sweet at first. But it kept happening. Over and over. And then one night I found something I wasn't supposed to. I was at his apartment while he showered. His laptop was open on the desk, music playing. The screen went dark, then lit up again when I bumped the mouse. I wasn't snooping, I swear. But what I saw froze me in place. It was a folder. Labeled with my name. I shouldn't have clicked. But I did. Inside were hundreds of photos. Some I recognized, pictures from my Instagram, my Facebook. But others I had never seen before. Photos of me walking to work, buying groceries, sitting in the library, headphones in. My heart started racing as I clicked deeper. Screenshots of private conversations with friends. Scans of my college schedule. Even my family's address. He had been watching me. Long before we met. I remember the sound of the shower turning off. I panicked, slammed the laptop shut and forced myself to breathe. When he walked into the room, smiling, towel around his waist, I smiled back. Pretended nothing was wrong. But inside something cracked. I told myself maybe it wasn't what it looked like. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe he just really liked me. But deep down I knew. I knew I was living in a cage and he was the one holding the key. The next weeks were a blur. I tried to distance myself, but every time I pulled away, he'd reel me back in. If I didn't answer his calls, he'd show up at my job with lunch. If I ignored his texts, he'd wait outside my apartment, just to make sure I was safe. My friends started to notice my anxiety, but I couldn't tell them. I was too scared. The breaking point came on a cold night in November. I got home from work late. My apartment door was unlocked. I froze. I knew I had locked it that morning. My stomach turned as I stepped inside. Everything looked normal until I reached my bedroom. On my bed was a single Polaroid. A photo of me. Sleeping. That was it. No note. No explanation. Just proof that he had been inside watching me while I was most vulnerable. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. But instead I did what terrified me most. I confronted him. When I showed him the Polaroid, he didn't even flinch. He just tilted his head, smiled that quiet little smile and said, "I just wanted to keep you safe. Don't you see? You're mine. You've always been mine." That was when I realized I wasn't dating a man. I was trapped by a predator. I wish I could say I left right then. But fear is a strange thing. It keeps you paralyzed. It convinces you that staying is safer than leaving. I lived in that nightmare for weeks, always looking over my shoulder, pretending to love him while planning my escape. The day I finally broke free, it wasn't because of me. It was because of the police. Turns out I wasn't his first. Another woman had gone to the cops, claiming he had stalked her for years. They raided his apartment. And what they found still keeps me awake at night. Folders. Dozens of them. Each labeled with a woman's name. Photos, addresses, private details. He had been watching not just me, but countless others. Some he'd been tracking for nearly a decade. And in the back of his closet, a box. Filled with personal items. Jewelry, receipts, scraps of clothing. Trophies. Some of the names on those folders. They matched missing persons cases. I'll never forget sitting in that police station shaking as they asked me to identify my own belongings in his twisted collection. Mark was arrested, of course. He's still awaiting trial. But prison bars don't erase the fear. Because the truth is, monsters don't always hide in the dark. Sometimes they smile at you, hold your hand, tell you they love you, and sometimes they convince you to love them back. Me. I'm left with the knowledge that the man I trusted most was never really mine. I was his. Just another folder on his laptop. Another photo in his collection. And I don't know if I'll ever truly feel safe again.